All right. Well, my computer clock just hit noon Eastern, so we'll go ahead and get started to keep us on time and give Joe as much time as possible. So I am Bryan Clontz, president of Charitable Solutions. We are here to have our guest speaker, Joe Tumolo, today talk about smiling and dialing. And I sort of added the additional editorialization of the not so lost art of building deeper donor. I know a number of you are professional advisors, so also client connections and relationships when you sort of can't be face to face. So we're going to have Joe sort of taking us through what he has experienced very directly and on a daily basis for decades in terms of some best practices around the best way to be able to make connections by phone and sort of what I sort of view as a tangential phone, still not face-to-face directly, but with Zoom and more alternative relationship communication methods too. So as you all know, very briefly, I'll go through some of the broader things that we do here at Charitable Solutions. I'll keep it pretty short, hopefully about 6 minutes or less. And so when I founded the firm in 2003, we had one mission that continues today. And you'll see it right at the top: to help make charitable gifts happen that otherwise wouldn't. And we primarily do that in two areas. One is around gift annuities, and one is around non-cash assets. Those are the only two types of donations where the charity can actually lose more money than the original gift. So we get very excited about risk management in those particular areas. So perhaps more traditionally, which I don't normally do, I'll sort of go left to right. So non-cash asset management is at least half of what we do. You can see there we do both direct consulting, maybe 5% of the time, but primarily we do more of an indirect outsourcing model through our Decami Foundation and Decami Asset Trust. So if any charity has what we always say is a good donor with a good asset wanting to do good things, don't say no. We may be able to help that donor make that gift. Maybe it's a super quick turnaround time. Maybe there's some legal issues or tax issues or just a longer term hold. Whatever the reason that it doesn't fit the charity's gift acceptance guidelines or timelines, rather than saying no, they can refer that donation over to us. We have a team of 28 people. We do roughly one of these per day. I will say I think we're real close to having more gifts year to date than we did all of last year. So we were having by far a record year. We've been averaging about $1 billion a year in these types of donations, that 100% of which were declined by other charities. We're completing those. Average donation you can see there around, it ranges between about 4 and 5 million. So they're big, again, roughly one per day. And you can see their average fees bouncing between about 1.2 and 1.4%. And then all of the rest is then donated back to the charity or charities the donor was trying to give it to in the first place. So we're just a giant facilitator or processor still under a donor advised fund construct, only taking in illiquid and then granting out any liquid funds too. We're also doing this, by the way, with Charitable Remainder Trust as a national platform. So we're doing this on the bottom left, you can see with gift annuities as well. So we have over 1,000 gift annuities now, growing about 15 to 20% a year, all 50 states, exactly the same model. Your charity or your client wants to do a gift annuity with a charity or charities that don't offer them, or maybe not in the state, or maybe not for real estate, or maybe not large ones, whatever the reason. Rather than saying no, they can make that referral over to us at the National Gift Annuity Foundation. We can receive that gift. We're an independent charity. We're managing the asset and the liability, risk management, compliance, everything. And then when the final annuitant passes away, we never keep anything liquid. We're just simply granting that back out to the charity or charities the donor was trying to give it to. So it allows any charity then to have full access. Quickly through the rest of this, we do this similar sort of risk assessments. We have an actuary on the team, have had one for 23 years. I do a lot of that work as well. For risk assessments for larger gift annuity pools or very large individual gift annuities. So understanding how to be able to mitigate that risk, still being able to maximize the remainder or the residuals on gift annuities. We have a team of six actually, that do charitable appraisals. So we say our tagline is, if you can give it to charity, we can appraise it. So we only do charitable appraisals for outright gifts, life income gifts, or estate gifts. And you can see all the different categories of assets there. I think I did at least 300, crypto appraisals alone last year. So never mind life insurance, business interest gifts, artwork, and so on, precious metals. Then I created a charity now, I don't know what this is, 14 years ago-ish, 15 years ago, called the Emergency Assistance Foundation. And so we're an outsourced provider for relief funds for corporate employees. So you can see there we have over 400 companies now that have created funds. I think we have now, I think it's 20% of the Fortune 100 that have funds with us now too. Over 14 million employees. We have 130 staff on that side of the operation, and we do it globally. And then finally, things like this. So being able to do professional advisor CE, webinars for board staff, donors, doing it in person as well. Joe does a ton of this. That's why I've asked him to join today. But all of this sort of mushes under one sort of Christmas tree, if you will, with different ornaments, getting back to our mission of how can we educate, how can we do appraisals to substantiate these gifts, otherwise that wouldn't happen, and then how can we provide outsourced solutions like relief funds, like non-cash assets, like CRTs, and like gift annuities to help people be more philanthropic and to sort of lubricate that process to get it to sort of be that bridge to get those charitable assets to those charities that they're passionate about. So how can those charities develop those relationships? So I always say, if you shake the bushes like crazy, we can fillet anything that falls out of the bushes, anything. That's what we do. Weird stuff falls out, we're good. How do you shake the bushes? How do you develop the relationships? That's why I asked Joe to speak with me, and you're going to be learning a lot myself today too, but about how best to do that in particular, in essence, from a distance, and how can you be able to identify prospects, qualify prospects, and close gifts using the phone and other sort of alternative mechanisms. So with that, Joe, I'd like you to give maybe a 2 or 3 minute background on yourself and your firm a bit. And I've known Joe well over 20 years, and I always have appreciated more than he knows, frankly. I'm sort of divulging this right now on a recorded webinar. Really, really appreciated his sales approach and the sort of the for-profit best practices that are pulled into the nonprofit world more generally, and within plain giving much more specifically. And I always say, and I mentioned this to Joe earlier, sort of prepping for this call, I say this with love to all of you. I do more than you know, but there is a lot of getting ready to get ready in this field. A lot. And I always say the best salespeople I've ever seen in my entire life have 2 things. They have a yellow legal pad. Why it has to be yellow, I have no idea. And they have a pen. And they'll sit down with people and ask them, what would you like to do? When would you like to do that thing? How would you like to do that? Let me come back with a value meal or proposal that's right for you. The key is feeling confident and comfortable to be able to develop those relationships, to be able to ask the right questions in the right way at the right time. So with that, Joe, maybe brief background and we'll jump right in.
Bryan, thank you so much. And thanks to your team. They do, if you're not familiar with Bryan and his team, they're all amazing and incredibly helpful. I love the National Gift Annuity Foundation. I have a number of clients that I've brought these folks into to take away all the work and risk of gift annuities. It's wonderful. And thank you for spending time with me today. Everybody's super busy. I'll do my best to share what I'm learning so far on my journey. I'm the eternal student. If anybody has any ideas that are working for you, please share them. I have a lot to cover, so I'm going to go pretty fast. If I don't get to everything that you're hoping we can, or I just kind of gloss over something, I welcome the opportunity to chat offline, online, on the phone, of course, whatever is helpful. So I've been in the plain giving space over 20 years. As Bryan said, I started as a straight commission sales guy. And I've been fundraising for a number of years, but always as a contractor. I've never been an employee at a 501c3. So taking that straight commission, I need to get the next gift. I need to get the next donor conversation. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So I'm going to share how I'm doing it, what I'm finding. And my business started out in consulting, teaching people to fish. And I was doing that for a number of years, but I got frustrated because well-intended people, super busy, you're all under a lot of pressure to bring in cash in the door. They weren't doing the work. And I was like, I don't want you to keep paying me if you're not going to do the work. Give me the names, give me access to your CRM. I'll set up my phone here with your caller ID number and phone number, and give me an email address, and I'll do the work for you. So that's what it's morphed into. And the bulk of my work is on the phone. So I have 4 clients right now that I pretty much make phone calls. Some of them I help them either set up their plan giving program or fine tune some of it, working with gift officers, going out on some visits with them. But the bulk of my work is sitting here all day, smiling and dialing. So I'm not going to tell you anything probably that you're going to walk away and say, whoa, this guy is brilliant. Oh my God, we're just, a lot of times, like when I was pre-pandemic, when I was traveling a lot, touring, speaking, I would look at the comments from attendees. A lot of them would say, oh, that was a good reminder. Joe was great, good reminder. And then I'm thinking, okay, it's a reminder, but are you actually doing the work? Like my older brother, who will go nameless, but he's never worked. I don't think he's ever exercised in his whole life. And it is concerning me and his wife. And I'm always reminding him, hey, did you walk today? Okay, what can I do to help you? Right? And he's like, yeah, I know. I know you know, but you're not taking action. So a lot of this is about taking action and using the phone. Bryan, as he said, is going to chime in a bit with the Zoom and some other ideas. But I'm old school. I'm 65. I'm calling as plan giving people. We're calling people generally 60, 65 and over who are still, not everybody's answering the phone anymore, but I think there's enough there. And I'll share again what I'm learning so far. So thank you. I'll share my screen here again. So there's really 3 areas of focus that any presentation I ever do is mindset. Most people don't think about the mindset. It's like, yeah, I know, we're busy. Okay, we're all busy, but there's got to be ways to figure this out, to spend more time having these conversations, along with behavior. I've got some ideas that are working for me. I hope they help you. And then the skill sets. Once we have the right mindset, we have the behavior, here's some ideas, especially for those that may be new to plan giving or fundraising. So here are 2 amazing musicians. I hope you all, anybody know who, I assume everybody knows on the right, but anybody know who's on the left? Checking the chat button here. Give you 5 seconds. Quincy, no, nobody. Interesting. I'm old. Quincy Jones, music pioneer. Most people know him from his work with Michael Jackson, but did a ton of work before that, back in the late 40s or 50s, 60s. And Paul McCartney of the Beatles, right? Everybody knows him and the amazing work that he continues to do. What they have in common is neither of them started out with the knowledge of music theory. They did. Paul McCartney and John Lennon could not read music. Quincy Jones, I just saw heard an interview of him recently, may he rest in peace. And he said he didn't really know music theory, but he was writing jazz and orchestrating without that knowledge. And so why am I bringing that up? Because over the years, a lot of people say, yeah, plan giving, that's confusing. I don't know. And I'm the furthest thing I am from a techie person, not a financial planner. I'm not an attorney. I'm a people person, darn it. And what I lack in maybe in the more technical areas, I make up for in my behavior and my attitude and my listening skills. And I don't let, yeah, I still get a little sweaty when somebody starts bringing up charitable lead trusts or or gifts of real estate. It doesn't happen often. It happens more from my clients than it does the donors. So the point is, it's not about knowing everything. And I really believe that 80% of our success in plan giving is mindset and behavior. So I love to say this. I've had over the years some amazing clients. I've done some incredible opportunities with training. And I had one huge, over 100 gift officers. They contracted me for 18 training sessions over an 18-month period. Training session number 1, I'm 10 minutes into the first of 18. And my client interrupts me, Joe, excuse me, I'm getting texts. They want you to get to the gift vehicles. I'm like, that's why you're not, and they weren't doing a lot in plan giving. That's why stop obsessing over the gift vehicles. This is, again, any fellow Cappies there might know the book that this came from in the CAP course, Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy. Highly recommend it for everybody. There's a book, and I took it years ago. I think there's still a book. There were two brothers who created this metaphor, mindset. I use it daily, my own work with donors and with my clients and in training. Above the line and below the line. Below the line is the gift vehicles, the techie stuff, the stuff that Bryan and his team are so good at, so gifted at. And what's left above the line is all about the donor. Why? Why have you been so good to us? Why do you care so much? What are your goals? What are you hoping to accomplish? What are your goals for your retirement, for your families? What are the impact that you want to have on our mission? So I always like to say, stay above the line as much as possible. In our one-on-one communications, in our marketing, super important. Checking the chat again. Does anybody know the names of those two brothers that wrote that book that talks about that? Is the chat working, Bryan? I don't see anybody responding, or I'm asking tough questions here.
It's probably both, but they're also including into the Q&A. So I know
okay, cool.
Matt
Okay.
Clark won the quick Quincy Jones, and then nobody's included the other one. I know it's the Fithian. I think it's the Fithian.
Excellent. Thank you. So I use this all the time. Common example. I was working with a potential donor recently with the awesome folks at National Gift Annuity Foundation. And he was not a donor. And he kept asking about, it was a deferred gift annuity for his niece, who was like 30. And we would not take on the gift annuity. Bryan, I think it was until the person was, I forget now, but they were way too young. And he kept calling me back. We kept having great conversations. But we were so below the line. He finally wound up going to a university that has billion-dollar endowment, excuse me. And we were so below the line every time, and I kept trying to bring him above the line. Well, Mike, what do you know about the work we're doing and the impact we're having? How much can I send you any information? Can I talk more? It was all about the below the line. So it's something I use daily, and I hope it's helpful. Another thing, I use this all the time in my sessions, don't make decisions for our donors. How many times do we do that? Oh, so-and-so just gave their largest gift ever. I can't bring up plan giving. Or these are real world examples. Or we screwed up the annual report. This donor's son passed away from cancer, and we put the wrong photo of the wrong son in there. He's really upset. I can't call him and talk about plan giving. Those are real world examples. It's very easy to stop ourselves and say, wait a minute. And I'll say that to a donor. You know, with whatever happened, you just made your largest gift. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And all the things we do to steward them. I didn't know if it was a good time to be talking about other ways to support our work through your estate. But then I figured, you know what, why make that decision for you? How would you feel around how would you feel around a conversation about that? Is this an appropriate time to be talking? So asking the donor, we're not sure, Joe, what do we do? People ask me that all the time. I'm not sure what to do with this donor. Here's an idea, ask the donor. Is this a good time to be talking about this? How would you like this, as Bryan alluded to? And the ideas I'm going to share in this presentation, this is my style. Everybody has their own style, so I might be sharing what I say, and you might be like, I can't do that. Okay, you have your own style, but I hope these are good ideas, and you can adapt them to your style. Something that a lot of people don't think about is their personality and what they prefer. If you're not familiar with Bryan Saber, a longtime friend of mine, highly recommend him with Asking Matters. And he wrote a book for introverts. I'm an extrovert, and we extroverts get our energy from other people, right? I'm getting even though I can't see or hear anybody, I'm getting the energy because I know all these people are on here. And so for me to pick up the phone and talk to people, I love it, but not everybody likes that. So we'll share some ideas around, okay, I'm an introvert. I don't want to pick up the phone. And Bryan Saber will be the first one to tell you. I'm not speaking as an attorney. He tells me all the time, I don't know how you do this. I hate picking up the phone. Okay. So if you don't want to pick up the phone, we need to figure out who's going to do that. And if you've not checked it out, this is a great thing, especially with board members that you're training for fundraising. You can go on his website, quiz.askingmatters.com. It's like those personality profiles. I'm blanking on the names of them right now, the ones that have been around forever. But it's all about fundraising and your personality. And it really helps us as fundraisers. Okay, I'm calling this scientist, and she's very quiet and introverted. So I can't be as intense with her. I need to be more laid back. And maybe she'll want more information, more data on what we're doing and the impact we're having, as opposed to the person that is, we're joking around, we both have the same dad humor and very high level. Then I know how to communicate with that donor. So highly recommend the asking styles. Here's another mindset metaphor that I've created and use daily. Leave your tools in the truck. So I created this metaphor of we have a toolkit as fundraisers. And in that toolkit are cash gifts, annual gifts, large gifts, and all these non-cash gifts. And even though my focus is mainly plan giving and people are hiring me to talk mostly about plan giving, it may not be a plan giving conversation. It may turn into a major gift conversation. So to keep the metaphor going, I leave my toolkit in the truck until the donors and I have had enough of a conversation to say, okay, we went through, this is what you're looking to accomplish. Would it be helpful if we talked about ways that you could do this? And then I'll metaphorically bring out my toolkit. Is it a cash gift? Is it pledges? Is it non-cash gifts? You mentioned that you're retiring and you're not gonna have a paycheck coming in every month, or every 2 weeks like you used to. And you're kind of not sure if you can give it the level you've been giving. I have a toolkit, you wanna check it out? So it's also another great mantra. I have my toolkit. I won't make decisions in advance for donors, and I'll leave that in the truck until it's the appropriate time. Behavior, another thing that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. What is behavior that will help us to get better results? All we can control, I believe, is our behavior and our attitude. I laugh at my own jokes. What the heck? So smiling and dialing, goal setting. So a lot of, like Bryan said, what I'm going to talk about today is picking up the phone on a consistent basis. I think a daily basis, and calling people that are not expecting our call. That is a huge difference. It's one thing to have somebody that we know, of course, and we need, and I'll talk a bit about stewarding and cultivating current donors, of course, and returning somebody's call who once in a while will call and say, you guys do gift annuities, right? Awesome. But how many times are we picking up the phone each week to call somebody that's not expecting our call? So I suggest, again, this is simple stuff. Nothing here is overly complicated, but I'm going to share some ideas of how we can be consistent and persistent with it. List of targeted donors for the month. Okay, for July, and I see this all the time. When I go into a client, I tell them, give me the names of people that have been giving. Let's start with people that have been giving 10 years or more. They're unassigned. Probably nobody's called them in a long time. And I'll share what I do in the next couple of slides. And then how many times a week am I picking up the phone to call donors? It's so simple. And I'll share a very easy tracker. Now, again, my personality, I'm always goal-oriented. So it drives me. You may need something else that drives you, but knowing, okay, I've committed to 20 calls this week, or maybe it's only 3 calls. And I'm going to stick to it. And maybe I'm going to hold somebody, I'll hold my wife. I used to hold my wife accountable. My wife would hold me accountable, making sure I'm making the calls. Hey, dude, no dinner. Did you make the calls today? You're not getting dinner, man. Ask someone to hold you accountable, right? Really works. Here's what I use. Simple, 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 highly effective for me and other folks that I've shared it with, other clients, gift officers. Just set up your weekly, and I can send anybody this stuff, any of this stuff, again, if helpful. Set it up. And I need to make, this is actually for just one of my 4 clients. I need to make 50 calls a week for them. And it just drives me. I got to make the call. I got to make more calls. It's 6 o'clock. My wife's calling me for dinner. Honey, I'll be down. Can you just leave it? on the back burner. I'll be down in 15 minutes. I have 3 more calls to make. It works incredibly well. After 5 o'clock calls, I keep a list. I do a fair amount in healthcare. I have over the years and still do. And when calling physicians, as those of you know that call a lot of physicians, it's tough. Working physicians, tough to get them during the day. Or anybody, just young people in general, people that are not retired, that are working. So I'll make a list of the people I need to call after 5 o'clock. And sometimes I'll do it after dinner, 7. We have donors out in California. I'll call at 8 o'clock at night. I've had some amazing calls that hour. And people really appreciate it. Oh my God, Joe, what time is it over? 8 o'clock and you're calling me. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to do that. So schedule it on your calendar. Okay, what's today? Tuesday? Tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon from 3 to 5, I'm making calls. If you're in the office, I'm putting a do not disturb sign on my door. I'm putting do not disturb on my phone, and I'm banging out my dials. And I use a timer app for my clients. My work is based on how many hours I'm putting in a month for clients. So I use a timer app, and again, that just drives me to make sure. And it's pretty much the only thing I'm timing is how much time I'm spending on the phone with donors or calling donors. Another thing that has been incredibly helpful, and I think if you get nothing else out of this, and whether you're a professional advisor or fundraiser, whatever your role is, making a list, as Bryan said, a legal pad, yellow, doesn't have to be yellow, but put names and numbers on it. Okay, these are the people I need to call this week. I'm traveling. Am I going to get the calls in? Okay, and I do this all the time. I'm in the airport. Of course, my flight is delayed. Most flights are delayed, an hour and a half, whatever. I'll go try to find a quiet place and make my calls. I have my list, right? I might put little notes in. A lot of my calls are people I don't have a relationship with yet, the bulk of them. So I'll just look in lifetime. I'll just write in lifetime giving, anything else that's pertinent, and then I'll just call them. I've never, ever had anybody say, are you calling me at the airport? I've never had. And again, I've had amazing conversations. Or in the car, be careful, don't drive with it. But let's say you get to a doctor's appointment early, half hour early, or you're in an appointment, whatever. And somebody calls you, I'm running late. Okay, I'll sit there in my car, pull out my legal pad and just make a couple phone calls. We'll get voicemails most of the time. Super simple, highly effective. Highly recommend, as we're talking about this, having a process. You know, people ask me, well, how many attempts do you make? It really depends on, is there a relationship with the donor? How much are they giving? Are they making big gifts? We'll make more attempts. I'm not leaving voicemails every time that I call. I'll leave a voicemail the first time, and then I'll let them know, if you're not able to get back to me, I'll call you in 2 weeks. Right, so they know I'm not AI, I'm not a robocaller. I'm a warm human being, and I'm here to help you if you want my help, and to thank you if you want my thank you. Not everybody does, small percentage, but once in a while I get. You don't have to call and thank me. Okay, at least we know. And then I don't like to do email. That's my opinion. If whatever's working for you, keep doing it. I think when I send an email early on in the outreach process, that it gives them an easy out to say, oh, Joe, thanks for calling. We're all good. No, thank you. So I'll call again. It depends on my volume with the client, a week later, 2 weeks later, and leave another voicemail. And then again, depending on who it is, if I really want to get this person on the phone, I won't email them yet still. And then I'll make more attempts, not leaving voicemails. And then I'll usually wait till I've made 10 attempts, and then I'll send them an email. I'm also conscious of time of day. Recommend, okay, I keep calling this person 9 o'clock in the morning. Hello, maybe I should call them after 5 or in the evening if they're young and working or a working physician. I hear this from time to time, more so than the old days. I don't answer the phone if I don't recognize the number, right? I don't either. I have empathy for the people I call. So ideas, and again, if you have ideas that are working, please share them. Send a pre-call letter. I don't know. I do that for one client. I'm not convinced that it works, but, or a note card. I think handwritten note cards are better. It's more time consuming. An email, again, maybe, depends on the relationship. Can I get a referral? Of course, always recommend a referral before any cold call and anything, whether we're fundraisers, professional advisors, salespeople. Can I get a referral from another donor, staff member, board member? Of course, let's start with that. Surveys, highly effective surveys. If you're not doing those, in the mail, email, of course, and with the question, would you ever be open to a conversation about other ways to support us? More creative ways to have a bigger impact, more strategic ways. Sometimes you have to have once in a while, somebody will finally get somebody on the phone. They'll say, yeah, Joe, sorry, they'll apologize. I'm so sorry. I got your voicemails. I've just been busy. I really appreciate your call. I don't have any empirical data around that, but it does feel a lot like once I keep calling, and I have, for my clients, I have the caller ID so they know the charity name that I'm calling from. A lot of them will say, yeah, okay, I recognize the number, and they'll pick up the phone. So some other ideas. I had a client, she was at a university. She would bring a university coffee mug or whatever, little stuffed mascot, and knock on their door. I mean, God bless her. And she was very successful. Yeah, or go to their office, if that makes sense. Go to LinkedIn, of course, see if they're connected with anybody that you know, that somebody else knows. Send them a message through LinkedIn. Another one that I think is helpful a lot, and I don't see a lot of people doing it, is turn the prospect over to somebody else in your office. As a man calling, maybe the person would respond better to a woman calling. Or as an older person calling, maybe they respond more likely to a younger person. Just to experiment, or just the fact that a different person's calling sometimes. Oh my gosh, 2 different people have called me. I should probably take this call. And again, this is common sense, but I don't see it as common practice a lot. In your pipeline meetings, at least monthly or quarterly, are you reviewing your PG pipeline? And I think everybody, plan giving is everyone's business. I think everyone should have people that they're calling. And then, of course, can we get board members who are plan giving donors? I believe you have to be a plan giving donor if you're going to make these calls. Very powerful. I have a client where board members will call to thank my wife, Lorraine, and I just for our outright gift. And I'm floored that somebody would take the time to do that. It's so simple. And why couldn't you train them a little bit just to see if there's an interest in plan giving, other ways to support our work, right? I'm sure a lot of you have, especially universities, schools have annual fund callers, maybe students. Many of them are asking if they would, the alum donor would be open to a conversation with somebody about doing more now or down the road. Phone number lookups is a big thing. I use White Pages Premium, and it's based on how many lookups you have per month. I think I have 75 lookups a month, and it costs me maybe $30 a month. Well worth it. And I would say they're accurate about 60% of the time. I'll get a phone number. Some clients, if I can't get anything there, if my client has Wealth Engine, I'll look on there. And again, if you want to share any other tools that you use to help find phone numbers. I have another longtime client. They're just about to start with AI. I forget the name of it. It's an AI program for fundraisers for nonprofits. And supposedly they do even better job of getting or finding phone numbers for us. But we haven't started that yet. So as Bryan alluded to, should we spend time visiting donors on the phone, face-to-face, or online, Zoom, Teams? Give them options. Ask them what they prefer, especially working people. Physicians, super difficult. Working people in general, I'm really busy. I don't have time for lunch. Okay. One of the things that I have done for a long time, and I find very helpful and effective, is how about a 10-minute phone call? That's it. And we can stick to that. And if a donor agrees and I get them on the phone, I'll remind them. I wasn't saying 10-minute just to get you on the phone. We said 10-minute. Are you still okay with that? And a lot of people will say, oh, no, I have more than that. That's fine. But there's just something about lowering the obligation that somebody would have to make. How about 10 minutes? And then meeting online is an efficient way, and Bryan will chime in as we progress here, to share impact data for more analytic donors. Also, I have a really super large client, national, and really difficult we can't do events, in face-to-face events. So we're talking about having the CEO, who's also a priest, do online events. And so we can have all the donors hear from him firsthand the work that's being done in all these third world countries. So there's a lot that can be done to Zoom. So people will say, well, Joe, what do you do? I mean, what's your process in all this? Well, a big thing is qualifying. If I may use the Arnold Schwarzenegger, I am the qualifier. Hopefully many of you are old enough to remember Arnold Schwarzenegger, but most of what I do is qualify. I can't solicit because I'm registered as fundraising counsel, but I do qualify. And this is not a commercial for me, but if you have volunteers or other people, or you hire people, well, if you have consultants or whatnot, you want them to make the calls. As long as we're qualifying and not technically asking over the phone. So, but we are always looking at, okay, here's the list. You gave me 250 people that nobody's called in a while. My goal is to put them in one of three categories. I'll start at the bottom. The donor has moved on. I had just an hour ago talked to a donor, made some pretty nice gifts. And he said, you know what, I've moved on. Thanks for the call, but I love what you guys are doing. I'm grateful for the care I got, but I have other priorities, my church and other things. So they moved on. So he's in the C category. And then there's the B category. Love you guys, happy to keep donating, but I'm really not open to doing more. Okay, they're in the B category. Steward, maybe cultivate if it makes sense. And then A, of course, who's open to doing more? Having a conversation, spending time on a Zoom, going to lunch, looking at what we're doing in the campaign, or other ways to support our work that may not cost them anything now, more creative ways, right? So it's just an ABC way to really think about what we're doing and to report that to staff, fundraising, boards, things of that nature. One of the things that I like to stress with everyone is, if we're just starting to make the calls, or when I go into a new client, I always say, if appropriate, give me the names of your current plan giving donors, and I will call them. And I find often that they have not been called. And my wife and I, we don't have kids yet. My dad joke, only 65, only been married 33 years. Don't have, I laugh at my own joke. We don't have kids yet. And so we have a fair amount of charities in our estate plan. And I am critical because I'm in the business, overly critical. Most of them don't call us to check in, and it drives me crazy. And there had been a fair amount that we've taken out of our plans. And I've had donors once in a while say, I had one recently, I'm glad you called. By the way, yeah, you are in my estate plans. And I was actually thinking about replacing you guys because I don't hear from anybody. So always start with, I would recommend, current plan giving donors. And then the other thing is, the first intention does not have to be the last. As put my plan giving donor hat on, one of my alma maters, who will go nameless, I had put them beneficiary of an old IRA I have years ago. And then we had a life triggering event. My sister passed away. She was an alum as well, highly educated business consultant. And I said to Lorraine, boy, wouldn't it be cool if we did an endowed scholarship when we passed away through this IRA, in memory of Marie at the business school. How cool would that be? Now, I came up with it. They didn't do that. The university should have come to me at the appropriate time and said, Joe, so sorry for the loss of Marie. And again, ask permission. Is this an appropriate time? Have you ever thought about ways to honor her with an endowed scholarship? It wouldn't be much more than what your initial intention was. So real world example. And then again, because I'm uber critical, I wound up, they ignored us. So I wound up kicking them out of our plans, and then replaced them with a cancer center where my sister was treated. And the other thing is they may want to do more now, right? Our situation's changed. My wife just retired. We're 65. I'm not retiring anytime soon, but with one less salary, much more careful with our outright gifts, and decided, you know what, we'll increase our deferred gifts. So into the third category of skill sets. So what is the process? What are we doing? We're thanking when we make these calls. We're thanking, we're surveying, we're qualifying, and I can't, but you guys can ask, right? If you want, over the phone. My goal, because I can't technically ask, is to do such a good job of connecting with the donor and getting them emotionally involved, and having them feel really good about their donations, their investment, their support, that they will make the ask for themselves, right? That's the goal. It doesn't happen every time, but that is the goal as I'm going through this process and going through the conversations. Can I motivate them to say, hey, Joe, what should I do? How can I do it? Cool, I'm in, right? That's the ultimate goal. So here's some ideas that I use for the voicemails. I leave a ton of voicemails, probably 125, 100, yeah, probably at least 125 a week. Thank you. Thank you so much. Liz, thank you so much you've been a donor for 15 years. That's amazing. I don't see where anybody's picked up the phone in a while to say thank you. And calling to see what we can do to better serve you as a donor. Any information we can provide on what we're doing with your gifts, the impact you're having, any updates on the success we're having with our research, with our development, our curriculum, etc. And to make sure you're a happy donor with us. I use that one a lot every day. Make sure you're feeling good about being a donor with us. And I use these, of course, when I get somebody on the phone, I'm cold calling, they're not expecting the call. I'll say their name. I'll say my name first. This is Joe Tumolo. I'm calling for Liz Kahn. I think my buddy Liz is on the call, right? Just to make sure that I have the person before I say, hi, Liz. I wouldn't say that. Joe Tumolo with ABC Charity, calling for Liz Kahn. Is this Liz? Yes. Hi, Liz. Calling, first of all, say thank you. What can we do to better serve you? Make sure you're feeling good about being a donor. Anything we could do to better serve you? Would you be open to carving out a little time to chat, either now or scheduling a call or a visit or a Zoom or a Teams? And as I mentioned earlier on the voicemail, I'll say, if you're not able to get back to me, I'll call you back in 2 weeks. Just so they know that I'm not the type of person that'll make one attempt and never do it again. Right? As I mentioned, calling to thank you for 15 years of giving, make sure you're feeling good about that. So that's the first part. The second part is we're surveying. Why are you so loyal? Liz, why are you so good to us? There's 1.4 million charities out there. Why ABC Charity? How did you find out about us? Right, we have the conversation. Other ones I use a lot. If there was one thing, and I say one thing, because if we say anything we can do to better serve you, most people say, nah. If there's just one thing, can you come up with one thing that we can do to better improve your donor experience? Are we giving a really good sense of what we're doing with your donations? Now, in the 65 and over class that I call, most of them say, no, trust you guys. But maybe 20% will say, well, yeah, what are you doing in the area of stem cell research or cancer research or whatever it is? And then love this one. How would you like to be cultivated, asked, stewarded? again, very simple, but I don't, as a donor, have people, fundraisers asking me that, right? Like I just don't, I'm not saying don't do this. I don't like going to dinners and luncheons, like big ones. I like one-on-ones with fundraisers, but my wife, Ray, and I don't like that. I'd rather, to really feel connected to the mission. If it's a university, I'd like to go volunteer with students, which we did once. We did the Habitat for Humanity with students, and we got to spend the day with them and talk about what's going on campus, right? What are you working on? So it's just asking, what would you need to feel better about, or to feel even more connected? And then about asking if you'd be open to doing more. So it's serving, and we're qualifying. For Plan Giving, I use this one again daily. People are raving, oh my God, love you guys, love you guys, love you guys. Can I ask you, Liz, are we in your top 3 or 5 favorite charities? Where are we on your list? Number 1, oh my gosh. And then I might ask, if we could give you a compelling reason to do more, would you be open to a conversation? Are you open to a visit? Right? What? And then I'll often say, I'll make the Plan Giving ask. I'll have that in a couple of slides. I'll give you an example of what I say. Quickly, this awesome guy, Dan Shepard, I owe a lot to Dan. Perhaps you're aware or familiar with his process that I've always give him credit, never take credit for it. Check him out on the frontlinefundraiser.com. This is something, again, Dan taught me years ago that I use all the time with donors. Out on a donor visit, I remember being out on one, awesome people with another gift officer, great time, but it was like an hour, and we were just, it was all social, which is fine, but at some point we have to get to, right? We have to get to the conversation, the fundraising conversation. So I remember kind of interrupting the gift officer and saying, lovely couple, can I ask you, why are you so loyal? Why do you care so much? Right, so question number 1, why? Which I mentioned earlier. What are your goals, concerns, needs? You mentioned that you have a child with special needs that you have to care for even after you've passed, or you're taking care of your parents, or you're about to retire. What are your goals, right? Professional advisors, you guys do a great job with that, better than I would. Where do you want to have an impact? Is it in our research area? Is it in faculty area? I'm trying to think of diverse examples here, but where do you want to have an impact? When would you be open to doing more? Now through current gifts or pledges, or later through your estate? And then how? And Dan talks about the fact that a lot of people skip this one and go right to the ask. Again, I always acknowledge, major gift officers, you're under a lot of pressure to bring in a ton of money. I don't know how you do it. I couldn't do it. I don't know how you do it. God bless you. So it's easy to go right for the outright gift, and we should. But again, if we have our toolkit in the truck and it makes sense that maybe they're not open to doing more now, can we have the how conversation, that below the line conversation? So I use this all the time. I hope it's helpful. Check Dan out. 6 questions that I believe that we should try to get every donor to answer, either directly or in our conversation with them offering it up. Do we really know these 6 answers to for each donor, excuse me. So here are some ideas that I use to bring up the Plan Giving conversation. If I could give you a compelling reason, would you feel good about a conversation around that? I use the next one all the time, right? Raving, love you guys, love you guys. Oh my gosh, we're in your top 3 favorite charities, maybe number 1. I know this is a question out of left field, and maybe it should be right field. I'm not a baseball guy, but I use left field. Oftentimes when I speak with donors that are going on and on about how much you really appreciate what we're doing, they tell me they provided for us in their estate plans. Is that something that you've done? Would be open to chatting about? And I would say, again, not exact data here, but it feels like 20% of the time people say I've already done something, self-identifying. very simple and very effective. And then if they had not already done it, I would say another, kind of guessing, 30–40% say, yeah, I'd be open to a conversation. We can have the conversation now or on Zoom or face-to-face, whatever makes sense. And another thing I use all the time is I help donors who want to be more creative, more strategic about the way they're giving. It's not always just about writing a check. I don't know if my buddy David is on this, longtime friend, attorney, super successful plan giving director at a large university here in Philadelphia. He's more pragmatic than I am. I'm more of a emotional, how would you feel about this? He'll just say, as he's leaving a donor visit, oh, by the way, are we in your will? And he's super successful with it. So again, depending on your style, it could be that easy. Or you're at an event or volunteer event with a longtime donor, right? And you're out there, whatever, out in the field raking or something. Are we in your will, right? It can be that simple. I believe planned gifts don't always have to be this long planned out process. It can be very quick. So my suggestions, at least identify 10 donors. If you haven't been doing this or you're new to this, identify 10 donors you know well. Reach out, try to arrange some time, thank them, ask them why, dig as deep as they'll allow, and ask them if they're open to a how conversation of how other ways that they could support you. And again, as I said at the beginning, please don't ever feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know enough about plan giving. The bulk of it, most of us know, are simple. Leave us in your will retirement plan. That's the bulk of the opportunities. And we have super smart and helpful people at Charitable Solutions who can help us. I have a 15-year-old neighbor right down the street, incredibly social. We're in a community that has a pool. I met him at the pool one day. He came to me, started talking, asking me questions at 14, he was 14 at the time. And I'm thinking, you know what? I said to Lorraine, he could go out and generate plan giving conversations. He's not a fundraiser. He's 14 years old, but he has the personality. He asks questions. He listens. He's genuinely interested in what people are saying. So if nothing else, and I always remind people who have never been thanked on a personal level will have been thanked and shown they are important enough for us to take the time to call them. And I would say 30–40% of people I get on the phone say, thank you for calling, Joe. It's so nice of you to take the time to do that. And then this is something I learned right out of college, being a straight commission sales guy from my sales trainer. I, again, use it to this day, SW4. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. And once in a while, people will hang up on me. That's fine. And I have SW4 on a little note card on my monitor, below my monitor, SW, someone's waiting. I know there's someone out there. Remember all the awesome conversations I had yesterday, and there are going to be more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bryan, I'll let you chime in here.
Well, Joe, I so appreciate all of this. As you said, it is a reminder, but I think it's a reminder of things like eat better, exercise more, all these other things that make all of us sort of better individually. I want to talk about a couple things, though, which I hope is helpful here as we got a few minutes left. So we've not prepared for this at all, so we're going to see how this goes. So I guess I'm going to maybe walk through the pipeline of what you sort of discussed. So the first thing is, and again, all this can be super general, very anecdotal, without, is it bigger than a bread box sort of, answers. But let's make up that a client gives you 20 names. Where are those names coming from? Are they typically plan giving names, or like suspects, or I think they were, they were part of our legacy society, but we don't have any documentation. That's from like 18 years ago. Or is it just like, hey, these are people who are just jammed in our database, but we don't know? I guess, is there any kind of theme as to where those names, if you were on this call today, you would say, this would be like the first level of productive ROI names, if you will?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I like to start with and recommend starting with current plan giving donors. Okay. And are they open to documenting, right? again, they need to feel good about it. Would you feel good about documenting your intention to make us better stewards of your intention and to make sure, hopefully, I always like, and you may use this, people, donors always laugh. We hope we don't see the gift for a long time. Would you be open to a conversation about documenting and why that's helpful for you and for us? So always, I always recommend starting there. And again, we have donors been giving 10 years or more that nobody's called and they're unassigned and they're not major gift prospects. Sometimes, probably most of the time. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
It does. And we all hear, obviously you look at the average annual gift made during life, it tends to be between like $110, $150. To your exact point, they could be doing that for 30 years and people haven't given them so much of it as an extra, mini hug at an event. I mean, they're not on anybody's radar, but those are obviously from a blank giving perspective and perhaps even a major gift perspective, if stewarded correctly, great prospects. Okay, so you start with the 20 names, you're making the calls. So one question that came up was, okay, you make your initial call and you have a voicemail, and then maybe you call 9, times. That may not be exact, but sort of 9 more times. Are you leaving voicemails each time, or you say, okay, that's what I thought. So you sort of do the one voicemail. Here's the reason for the call. Here's call me back. You try to call different times to see if you're able to connect and so on. Out of that 20, super rough, how many do you get to the place that you are able to sort of ABC qualify them? May not necessarily be by phone, might just be an email that they send back on that sort of final email that you send sort of at the end of that 10th call. But of the sort of 20 coming into the pipeline, how many you're able to qualify or connect in some way?
Yes, and this freaks a lot of people out because the numbers are kind of low.
Yeah, that's fine.
I use the 25% rule.
Okay.
Again, I'm an outsider. I've had enough clients that I've had for years where I've built relationships just like the gift officer would.
Yeah.
But again, the bulk of my call are people I don't have a relationship with. So a little tougher for me, but my volume is so high. I would say 20 to 25% of people that I reach out to, I will connect with.
Gotcha. Okay.
The next ones that I connect with, how many actually are open to doing something more outright or deferred? Maybe another 20 to 25%.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. That's perfect. So then again, like super rough, you get sort of the 20 names at some level through that gauntlet, 4 to 5-ish, you're able to connect with in some way to qualify. Of that, it might be 1 to 2-ish that would be willing to sort of have that additional follow-up conversation. And then a great question came up in the Q&A. On one level, you might say, oh, that's pretty low. If you're making 125 or so calls a week, all of a sudden that 1 or 2 becomes 10 or 12. And the great question was like, okay, this sounds horrible, but I'll say anyway, Joe, don't be too successful because you may sort of swamp us with new potential qualifying conversations that we also don't want to get stale. That's a whole other conversation of, yeah, they want to talk. Oh yeah, in 6 weeks ago, we'll get back to you. It's like, oh my God. So I guess, are you having to sort of measure if you have a staff that you're sort of passing that baton over to? Joe, oh, looks like he hopped off. So we'll maybe get back to this on the Q&A, but that's a question that I would have is sort of how are they managing that flow? One point that I would make, and I think this is important, we'll see, but there's sort of 2 components to this. One, I used to work with a community foundation for a long time, and most all of our donors came to us as referrals from professional advisors, our centers of influence. And we implemented a program where any advisor that would refer into the community foundation, we would make just a simple thank you call. And I used to do those, nobody cared. Then I had our president doing those, and we always tried to do them where she was almost always leaving voicemails. Thank you for advocating for the community foundation, to put, in essence, thinking of us as the partner when your clients are selling something or planning something and they're wanting there to be a charitable component to that. We just so appreciate you thinking of us as a potential partner for your clients. She would do this, typically we would time it about 2 days before the next estate planning council meeting. And I kid you not, I would go to the estate planning council meeting and people would like beeline over to me going, oh my God, Alicia called us. She took a time out of her day to leave a voicemail. It was so nice. It's like, Joe, that was like a 30-second phone call for him. Or for her, I'm sorry, and you referred in a multi-million-dollar client, we'll do that all day. We're good. But they loved it. board member call, just as what Joe said, is so powerful. The final point I would make before we close, and I really want to drill this home, and that is, especially for planned gifts, most of these we're asking people to consider endowed gifts. Whatever their passions are during life, we're going to be able to keep those passions. Hey, Joe, you're back.
I'm
But
so
keep those.
sorry.
All good, all good.
I don't know what
But they
happened. My
can
apologies.
all fine. But that whatever their passions are during life, you're trying to endow that for the particular charity. And I cannot tell you how often those donors might be having these plan giving conversations and they're not hearing back, ideally for older donors, by phone. Look, I'd like to consider perhaps endowing a scholarship in my sister's name at the school. It might take them a week or a month to get back to them, or they only send emails. It's like, can you not pick up the phone and have a conversation about what I'd like to do, or let's go out and meet? Meeting is not appropriate. Okay, let's do a Zoom meeting or a phone call. My point in this, and I really want to drill this home, that same donor, you're asking to say we can be your perpetual steward until the end of time as we know it, and no member of our species inhabits our planet. That's what you're asking me to trust that if I were still alive, I would be making those grants, and I'm allowing you as an institution, not even the institution, to do those things. And you're not even returning my call in 24 or 48 or 1 week or 1 month. Seriously? So there's a huge, in my view, I'll say an epidemic on responsiveness back to qualifying donors who are beaching themselves to get to you or getting to you through sort of the Joe process of qualification, that there better be good capacity to be able to quickly get back, because all you're selling is trust. That you will do those things for the donor, not while they're alive, that's important too, but until the end of time as we know it. And I think the phone is ridiculously underused as a vehicle to be able to continue that stewardship once they are saying, yes, I would love to do something for your institution and have this kind of impact. So anyway, I will wrap up there. I think we're 1 minute over. Joe, thank you. This is incredibly helpful. Again, this video will be posted next week with our other 55 plus videos. We'll be able to scrape all the Q&A and include that too. So Joe, thank you so much. I hope everybody had a good time and learned something, and it's something you can be actionable today with these specific items. So there you go. Thanks,
Pick up the
Joe.
phone. Thank you, everybody. Be
There you
well.
go. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bryan.